The Isdal Woman, a real story. Some stories refuse to die. They linger like ghosts, haunting us with unanswered questions, secrets that whisper through generations. The tale of the Isdal Woman is one of these stories, mysterious, chilling, and entirely real. On a bleak November day in 1970, the tranquility of Norway's isolated Isdalen Valley was shattered. Beneath looming cliffs and twisted pines, the burnt remains of an unidentified woman were discovered, launching one of history's most baffling mysteries. Who was she? A spy, a fugitive, or merely a victim caught in the crossfire of secrets bigger than herself? Decades later, we remain no closer to certainty. Join me as we venture deep into this unsettling true story, a puzzle that continues to captivate and terrify in equal measure. This is the real story of the Isdal Woman. Chapter 1. The Discovery. November 29, 1970 began like any ordinary Sunday in Bergen, Norway. Quiet, gray, wrapped in a chill that bit at the edges of skin. Just outside the city, however, the tranquil morning was disrupted by a discovery that would forever mark the desolate beauty of Isdalen Valley. A father and his young daughter had decided to hike through the rugged landscape, unaware that their morning stroll would lead them to the epicenter of an enduring mystery. As they moved carefully along the trail, the valley's dense fog draped the landscape in eerie silence, broken only by their muffled footsteps and distant caws of hidden birds. Soon, an unsettling smell disturbed their journey, a pungent, acrid scent carried by the breeze, something burned, something unnatural. Curiosity overcame their unease, guiding them off the main path toward an isolated cluster of rocks and brush. Their steps faltered as they glimpsed something blackened on the ground ahead. Drawing nearer, their apprehension turned to horror. Before them lay the charred body of a woman, partially concealed beneath burnt debris. Her face, twisted away, was beyond recognition. Flames had consumed nearly everything, leaving only a macabre silhouette. The little girl screamed, gripping her father's trembling hand tightly, eyes wide with fear. Without a word, they turned and ran back to Bergen to alert authorities. Within hours, the quiet valley was invaded by the echoes of boots, voices, and crackling radios as police and forensic teams swarmed the scene. Detective Inspector Helge Hansen arrived first, his heart heavy with dread. Approaching cautiously, he surveyed the unsettling scene. His instincts immediately told him this was no ordinary death. The victim had been methodically burned. Petrol had been poured over her, ensuring the flames erased as many details as possible. Nearby lay an empty bottle of sleeping pills, a burnt passport, and jewelry oddly untouched by the flames. Hansen frowned deeply, puzzled. A clear picture of suicide or murder seemed impossible to form. Investigators meticulously gathered every scrap of evidence. Hansen watched silently, noticing the careful way the victim's body had been positioned. Her jewelry placed neatly beside her, undamaged by the blaze, as though someone had taken time to arrange the scene. His skin crawled at the unsettling thought. Initial forensic findings only deepened the mystery. The woman's fingerprints had been deliberately removed, meticulously sanded away. Hansen knew immediately this was someone determined to disappear, or possibly someone silenced by darker powers. He realized then, standing amidst the eerie stillness of the valley, that he had stumbled onto something far deeper and more sinister than anything he'd faced before. Back in Bergen, whispers of the discovery quickly spread. Rumors circulated, wildly: espionage, assassination, secret agents hidden among ordinary citizens. Newspapers eagerly dubbed the victim the Isdal Woman, conjuring images of intrigue and shadowy deeds. Public fascination surged, pressuring police for swift answers they didn't have. The breakthrough, or perhaps deeper confusion, came a few days later, when railway employees discovered an abandoned suitcase at Bergen's train station. It contained Wigs, disguises, clothing labels meticulously removed, a notepad filled with cryptic writings, and maps marked with indecipherable notes. Hansen's heart sank further with each item they examined. Clearly, this woman had been living multiple lives, each carefully constructed and meticulously hidden. Witnesses from various hotels across Norway soon emerged, each recounting encounters with a striking, well-dressed woman who spoke several languages fluently. Yet each remembered her under a different name. In Bergen, she was Claudia Tielt. In Stavanger, she was Elizabeth Lienhaufer. Elsewhere, Finella Lork. Her true identity eluded authorities at every turn. Hansen couldn't shake the growing suspicion that she was involved in espionage. The Cold War cast long shadows, and Norway was no stranger to spies. Yet, definitive evidence remained frustratingly out of reach. Every lead dissolved into ambiguity, every clue cloaked in confusion. Frustration mounted, both in the public and within Hansen himself. Unable to sleep, he returned repeatedly to the valley, retracing the woman's final steps. The silent cliffs and looming trees seemed to mock his helplessness, whispering secrets that refused to reveal themselves. Months passed. Officially, the police declared the death a likely suicide, offering closure only on paper. Yet Hansen privately rejected this simplistic explanation. Everything about the case pointed towards something deliberately hidden, meticulously obscured. The Isdal Woman remained unidentified, her story reduced to enigmatic clues and unsettling conjecture. Hansen reluctantly filed the case away, haunted by the realization that some truths were perhaps never meant to surface. Years passed into decades, yet the shadowy figure of the Isdal Woman refused to fade. With advancements in forensic science, new hope emerged. But each new test, each new analysis raised more questions than answers. She became a ghost, haunting Norway's collective imagination, a permanent symbol of mystery and intrigue. To this day, the true story behind the Isdal Woman remains buried within the depths of Isdalen Valley, waiting patiently for someone brave, enough or foolish enough to uncover its secrets. And as Detective Hansen, long retired, gazed into the valley one final time, he accepted a truth he had long resisted. Some mysteries, no matter how fiercely pursued, simply refused to be solved. Chapter 2. Cryptic Clues. The suitcase lay open on the table at Bergen's police headquarters, its enigmatic contents spread neatly before Detective Hansen. Each item told a baffling story, carefully designed to conceal rather than reveal. It was clear the Isdal Woman had spent her final months, and perhaps years, in meticulous disguise, living a life defined by secrecy. Detective Hansen rubbed his eyes wearily, examining once more the wigs arranged in careful rows. There were multiple styles and colors, short brunette cuts, blonde waves, long raven locks, each suggesting the capacity to blend seamlessly into countless scenarios. Beside them lay several pairs of non-prescription glasses, varying from simple reading spectacles to stylish sunglasses, all crafted to change her appearance subtly yet effectively. The clothing in the suitcase puzzled him even more. The labels had been deliberately removed, painstakingly clipped or torn away. Yet despite these attempts at anonymity, Hansen noticed the fine quality, tailored designs and European craftsmanship of each garment. Whoever the Isdal Woman was, she possessed taste and resources and was adept at camouflaging both. Most intriguing of all was a notebook, small and leather-bound, filled with handwritten entries. Hansen flipped through its pages slowly, each turn deepening his bewilderment. Instead of straightforward notes, the pages were covered in indecipherable codes and fragmented sentences. Numbers and letters intermingled, cryptic messages that hinted at hidden meanings. M9, meeting postponed. L21, cancelled, they watch. R12, safer route via Belgium. Each entry was cryptic, yet clearly purposeful. A chill ran down Hansen's spine. Was this evidence of espionage, a spy communicating clandestinely with an unknown handler? Or was this a desperate woman trying to evade someone or something dangerous? For days, Bergen's top cryptologists studied the notebook. Linguistic experts analyzed handwriting, grammar and syntax patterns, yet each expert shook their heads in frustration. The Isdal Woman had used her own unique cipher, so personalized and intricate that breaking it seemed impossible. Whoever she was, her secrets were locked away behind impenetrable walls. Determined not to surrender, Hansen expanded his search. He sent teams to every hotel listed in the woman's notebook, from Bergen to Stavanger, Trondheim to Oslo. The goal: find someone who remembered something more, some detail previously overlooked. Slowly, memories surfaced. At Hotel Rosenkrantz in Bergen, receptionist Ingrid Christiansen remembered her vividly. She was always quiet, Ingrid explained hesitantly, but elegant, careful with her words, never revealing personal details. She spoke multiple languages, fluently, French, German, English, but she avoided Norwegian, almost as if she didn't want to leave behind clues to her identity. Hotel records confirmed Ingrid's recollections, revealing a startling pattern. The Isdal Woman had stayed at the hotel under at least 3 different aliases. Each identity had its own passport, expertly forged, impossible to detect at first glance. Claudia Tilt from Belgium, Elisabeth Lienhofer from France, Vera Schlosseneck from Germany, each alias more convincing than the last. The hotel manager, Per Lund, provided additional unsettling information. She always requested rooms with balconies, he said, voice trembling slightly. She insisted on quick access to exits, sometimes changing rooms daily. She seemed deeply afraid. Fear. That word haunted Hansen. It suggested something sinister, a life spent running from invisible threats. But from whom or what had she fled? Hansen meticulously mapped her movements across Norway. Each city revealed similar patterns, disguises, multiple identities, quick departures, and meticulous avoidance of leaving tangible clues. Yet despite her caution, fragments of her life inevitably slipped through cracks in her careful facade. In Stavanger, at Hotel Atlantic, staff remembered her vividly. She rarely left her room, recounted Anna Hansen, a housekeeper. When she did, she always checked corridors first, peeking cautiously around corners. She was like a ghost, there but not there, always fearful, always wary. A bartender at the hotel's lounge remembered overhearing hushed conversations the woman had on public telephones. She spoke quietly, urgently, shifting languages, he recalled, nervously. I caught fragments. They know. Too dangerous. I must leave soon. Whoever she spoke to, it sounded life or death. Back at police headquarters, Hansen stared at the woman's cryptic notebook, frustration clawing at him. Each fragment of information raised new questions. Was she a spy navigating the perilous waters of Cold War espionage? A criminal running from past sins? Or perhaps a victim trapped by circumstances beyond her control? Hansen arranged an international meeting reaching out to Interpol and intelligence agencies across Europe. Perhaps her fingerprints, though sanded away, or dental records would yield some clue. Authorities combed missing person reports from across Europe, but no matches appeared. It was as if the Isdal Woman had materialized from nowhere and vanished into thin air. An investigator from Germany provided a tantalizing clue. An espionage ring operating across Western Europe, using women to transport sensitive documents. Could the Isdal Woman be connected to this operation? Investigators pursued the lead fervently, but it dissolved under scrutiny, another promising road ending abruptly. Exhausted yet unwilling to concede defeat, Hansen revisited the cryptic notes. He lingered over one entry that stood out starkly amid gibberish. "Be careful. Oslo too risky." Immediately, Hansen dispatched a team to Oslo. If there was danger lurking, perhaps it remained. Investigators uncovered a startling discovery at Hotel Viking. The Isdal woman had booked a room but never arrived, yet someone else had. Another woman matching her description, using another identity. Had she anticipated danger, using a double or decoy to confuse pursuers? Slowly, Hansen realized he was dealing with something larger than one mysterious death. A complex web stretched across multiple nations, each thread carefully concealed. The deeper he probed, the darker the shadows surrounding the Isdal woman became. In quiet moments, Hansen wondered who she truly was beneath disguises and aliases. He imagined a woman terrified, constantly looking over her shoulder, yet resourceful, enough to evade capture until Isdalen Valley. Was that valley her chosen end, or had someone found her final hiding place? Night after night, Hansen returned home haunted by unanswered questions. The clues refused coherence, revealing only fragments of a life lived under constant threat. The Isdal woman's life, he realized sadly, had been stripped of identity, replaced entirely by fear and secrecy. Years would pass without answers, yet Hansen never forgot the cryptic clues she left behind. He knew that somewhere within the puzzle she created, beneath layers of secrecy and disguise, lay her true story. But could it ever be uncovered? As the case slipped into cold obscurity, Hansen accepted that some mysteries were perhaps never meant to be solved. The Isdal woman had ensured her past remained forever out of reach, guarded by secrets she carried into the fire that consumed her. Yet Hansen believed one thing with certainty: her story, even incomplete, mattered deeply. She had lived, feared, hidden, and ultimately perished, leaving behind only enigmatic whispers to echo through history. For Detective Hansen, the puzzle of the Isdal woman was not merely a case, it was a lifelong burden, a shadow that followed him relentlessly. And though he eventually retired, the cryptic clues she left behind remained etched into his memory, forever unanswered, forever haunting. Chapter 3: Shifting Identities. In the shadowy world of espionage and intrigue, identity becomes fluid, something to adopt, discard, or alter as easily as clothing. The Isdal woman lived this reality with chilling precision, leaving behind a trail of shifting identities that baffled even seasoned investigators like Detective Hansen. Hansen spent countless hours in his dimly lit office, meticulously studying, documents and photographs spread across his desk, desperate for any thread to unravel her true identity. Yet each clue he discovered only deepened the enigma. The woman had expertly crafted a maze of personas, each designed to mislead and confuse anyone attempting to follow her path. Records from hotels across Norway painted a portrait of a woman who skillfully inhabited multiple lives. Hotel staff described her consistently elegant, sophisticated, multilingual. Yet despite their vivid memories, not one knew her real name. Every city, every hotel revealed a different woman, carefully reconstructed, meticulously maintained. In Bergen, she had been Claudia Tielt, a reserved Belgian tourist, sophisticated and aloof. She had checked into the Rosenkrantz Hotel, staying briefly and interacting minimally with staff. She spoke fluent French, prompting staff to accept her carefully forged passport at face value. Her behavior was calculated, polite, yet carefully guarded, leaving behind minimal trace of her true nature. In Stavanger, she emerged as Elisabeth Lienhaufer, claiming to be a German businesswoman attending meetings that hotel staff later realized never existed. As Elizabeth, she displayed a polished and confident demeanor, fluent in German, effortlessly charming yet perpetually wary. Employees recalled her constantly changing rooms, insisting on having quick access to exits. Her paranoia, though subtle, was unmistakable. But perhaps most intriguing was her identity in Oslo, Vera Schlossnick. Vera's supposed Swiss origins matched her flawless German accent. At Hotel Viking, she booked her room yet never arrived, leaving behind a strange vacuum, a woman who seemed to vanish even before appearing. Staff at the hotel reported another woman matching her general description checking in simultaneously, under a different name entirely. Was Vera merely another deception, a double designed to distract potential pursuers? Detective Hansen became consumed by these shifting identities. Each new name became a ghostly presence, haunting him day and night. How could one woman so completely immerse herself in multiple identities without slipping up, without ever leaving behind concrete evidence? Hansen understood that to decipher the woman's true identity, he had to reconstruct her movements meticulously. He pored over transportation logs, cross-referenced flight and train schedules, and consulted hotel registers across Europe. Slowly, a disturbing pattern emerged. The Isdal Woman was more than just cautious. She was methodical, tactical, precisely moving between cities to avoid any detectable pattern. In Paris, she briefly surfaced as Geneviève Lancier, purportedly attending an academic conference that never occurred. In London as Julia Sullivan, supposedly an art collector who never attended any known galleries. In each scenario, the pattern repeated itself. Short stays, minimal interaction, always leaving quickly, vanishing into thin air as abruptly as she appeared. Experts from Interpol noted the striking professionalism of her methods. "These aren't ordinary aliases," one senior agent remarked gravely. She knew exactly how to manipulate identity documents and border crossings, blending seamlessly into multiple countries. Whoever she was, her training was impeccable. Hansen grew convinced the Isdal Woman had received extensive espionage training, possibly from intelligence agencies or clandestine organizations operating within Cold War Europe. He wondered if she might have been a double agent, caught between dangerous allegiances, or a courier transporting sensitive information, someone whose very existence depended on secrecy. Yet, despite mounting suspicion, tangible evidence remained, maddeningly elusive. Her cryptic notebook, meticulously maintained, provided tantalizing hints without clarity. Entries such as meeting delayed, contacts compromised, or safe house compromised hinted at a hidden network of contacts and secret communications. Yet none of the leads provided concrete answers, only deeper shadows. Desperate for breakthroughs, Hansen traveled personally to each hotel where she stayed, interviewing staff who still remembered her vividly decades later. In Stavanger, an elderly receptionist named Anna Larsen recounted a haunting memory. "She always seemed afraid," Anna whispered quietly, "always checking behind her, watching everyone. Once, when I asked casually where she was traveling next, she turned pale and abruptly checked out that very hour." Anna handed Hansen a faded guest book, where the Isdal Woman had hastily scribbled a checkout signature. Hansen examined the handwriting carefully, comparing it with other documents. Each signature differed subtly, a sign of someone trained in identity concealment, a skill far beyond an ordinary traveler. At night, Hansen lay awake, haunted by unanswered questions. Who had she been, truly? What drove her relentless flight through European capitals, shifting effortlessly between identities? Was she a victim fleeing relentless pursuit, or a professional agent manipulating events from the shadows? The case consumed Hansen, invading his dreams and waking thoughts. He imagined conversations with the Isdal woman, desperate to understand the motivations driving her constant transformations. Yet even in imagination, she remained elusive, her true face hidden behind countless masks. Years passed, turning Hansen's hair gray, deepening lines on his face. Though officially retired, he couldn't let go. He revisited old evidence repeatedly, seeking a detail previously overlooked, a hidden clue beneath layers of confusion. Finally, new hope emerged when DNA testing became widely available. Modern forensic experts meticulously analyzed isotopes in her teeth, attempting to pinpoint her geographic origins. Results suggested Central Europe, Germany, perhaps Eastern France or Northern Italy. Yet, despite this progress, exact identification remained elusive. Her shifting identities had created such thorough confusion that matching DNA conclusively to any known missing person proved impossible. Hansen understood then that the Isdal woman had succeeded in her ultimate goal, complete anonymity. Her life, meticulously constructed in shadows, had ensured that no matter how far technology advanced, her true identity would remain lost. As Hansen sat reflecting quietly in his study, surrounded by decades of notes and files, he accepted this truth reluctantly. The woman's shifting identities were not merely disguises, they were armor, carefully constructed shields protecting a secret too dangerous to reveal. With resignation, Hansen gently closed the case file one last time. Her identities, Claudia, Elizabeth, Vera, Genevieve, Julia, merged into a single enigmatic presence. He knew he'd carry their stories within him forever, each identity a fragment of a larger puzzle impossible to solve. Yet beneath the unresolved, questions lingered something profound, a respect, even admiration, for a woman who defied discovery to her final breath, whose story refused to conform to simple explanations. Hansen understood her legacy wasn't one of deceit, but survival, a testament to the human capacity to endure, hidden within shifting identities. And in the silence of his retirement, Hansen often wondered, perhaps somewhere, someone still remembered her true face. Perhaps somewhere, in the quiet corners of Europe, a final clue waited patiently to be discovered. Or perhaps, he admitted finally, some truths were simply meant to remain hidden forever, veiled behind endless masks and names that disappeared as swiftly as they emerged, forever unknown, forever shifting, forever the Isdal woman. Chapter 4. Threads of Espionage. In the shadowy depths of Cold War Europe, secrets moved silently, their keepers hidden behind layers of deception. It was an era defined by invisible warfare, fought not on battlefields, but in quiet cafes, hotels, train stations, and city streets, anywhere anonymity could offer refuge. Within this clandestine world, the Isdal woman's elusive existence found troubling coherence. Detective Hansen began to suspect her shifting identities were not simply defensive, but tactical maneuvers in a larger espionage game. He sat again in his office, its walls lined with fading newspaper clippings and old photographs. A map of Europe stretched across his desk, dotted with pushpins marking her known locations. Hansen had become convinced that the woman was somehow deeply embedded in the world of international espionage. Every detail, from her sophisticated disguises to the coded notebook, suggested professional spycraft. Yet identifying the agency or organization she belonged to proved dauntingly elusive. Historical context deepened the complexity of her case. In 1970, tensions simmered between NATO and the Soviet bloc, turning Northern Europe into a strategic chessboard. Norway, with its proximity to the Soviet Union and strategic NATO installations, became a crucial battleground for intelligence gathering. Hansen understood clearly why someone like the Isdal woman would operate here, but for which side had she worked? Or perhaps worse, had she been caught between opposing forces? Consulting with former intelligence agents provided further insights. An aging British intelligence officer, William Connolly, who had operated extensively in Scandinavia during the Cold War, visited Hansen to share his perspective. Connolly spoke in quiet, measured tones. "We often used female operatives, Detective Hansen. They attracted less suspicion and moved more freely through Europe. Their disguises and forged documents had to be impeccable. Your Isdal Woman displays every hallmark of an exceptionally trained intelligence agent." Hansen listened carefully. "But if she was an agent," he asked, "then why was she left dead and unidentified? Why wouldn't her agency claim her, or at least recover her remains?" Connolly sighed deeply, shaking his head. "When spies become compromised, they're often disavowed entirely. It's a ruthless world, Detective. Loyalty matters less than plausible deniability. Her people, whoever they were, likely found it easier to erase her entirely." Hansen's mind churned with disturbing implications. If Connolly was correct, the Isdal woman's tragic fate could be attributed to betrayal by her own handlers. Could she have realized too late she had been abandoned, left utterly alone in the unforgiving shadows? He turned again to the cryptic notebook retrieved from her suitcase. The coded messages, "meeting compromised, relocate immediately, extraction impossible," seemed even more sinister in this light. Perhaps she had realized, during those final frantic days, that rescue was never coming, that survival depended solely upon herself. Seeking further confirmation, Hansen reached out to retired Norwegian intelligence operatives. One former agent, Olaf Bergstrom, recalled rumors circulating during the Cold War years. "We knew operatives from multiple countries worked in Bergen," he explained quietly. "East Germans, Soviets, Americans, British, all quietly watching one another. Sometimes operatives switched sides, becoming double agents. Occasionally, these turncoats simply vanished. Your Isdal woman might have been such a double agent, caught in a deadly game she couldn't control." Hansen felt a chill. A double agent scenario complicated the picture, yet seemed disturbingly plausible. Was the Isdal woman someone who had betrayed her handlers, only to become hunted herself? It would explain her paranoia, multiple identities, constant movement, and the extreme measures taken to conceal her identity. One unsettling clue pointed Hansen toward East Germany. Hotel employees remembered her occasional phone calls made in fluent German, conversations held in hushed tones. Could she have been communicating with contacts behind the Iron Curtain? Perhaps she sought to defect, or worse, had betrayed crucial intelligence. If true, it would justify ruthless actions against her by Soviet bloc handlers or Western intelligence desperate to stop leaks. Slowly, Hansen pieced together threads of possible scenarios. In this murky espionage landscape, truth became slippery, identities fluid, and alliances dangerously unstable. Each new clue led him deeper into confusion, yet one constant remained: the woman's remarkable skill at evasion. He recalled vividly the testimony of a Bergen hotel employee, Svein Johansen, who remembered a brief conversation with her. She asked, specifically about routes into northern Norway. Svein explained nervously, particularly remote areas near military installations. At the time I found it strange, but I assumed she was merely a curious tourist. Hansen's pulse quickened at this revelation. Northern Norway was strategically significant during the Cold War, home to NATO installations, radar systems, and early warning bases designed to detect Soviet incursions. A spy in that region could gather intelligence capable of shifting geopolitical balances. Could her mission have taken her dangerously close to sensitive military secrets? He immediately dispatched investigators to Tromsø and Bodø, northern cities near critical military facilities. There, retired soldiers and base personnel recounted strange sightings, unidentified individuals seen observing facilities from a distance, unknown visitors slipping quietly through towns. None directly matched the Isdal Woman, yet the descriptions were vague enough to leave open troubling possibilities. At home, Hansen struggled to piece together the fragmented puzzle. Every new detail hinted at her involvement in international espionage, yet offered no definitive proof. Her contacts, if they existed, remained hidden. Intelligence files requested from international agencies yielded little. Officially, no one acknowledged her existence or admitted operations involving someone fitting her profile. Frustration mounted, yet Hansen refused to surrender. He was convinced that within the tangled web lay answers crucial to understanding the woman's ultimate fate, but the answers stubbornly eluded him, forever slipping through his fingers. Years later, reflecting on the case from retirement, Hansen understood clearly why her story resonated so deeply. The Isdal Woman symbolized the hidden tragedies of espionage. Lives swallowed by secrecy, sacrificed for geopolitical maneuverings invisible to ordinary citizens. He saw her not merely as an unsolved case, but as a poignant representation of countless forgotten agents who lived and died in shadow, in the quiet moments. Hansen imagined her final days, constantly looking over her shoulder, knowing betrayal lurked around every corner. Perhaps she had tried desperately to signal for extraction, only to receive silence. Perhaps she had known her fate was sealed, retreating into the isolated valley to meet her end privately, on her own terms. Or perhaps, Hansen admitted grimly, her pursuers had finally cornered her, orchestrating a grim spectacle, a warning to others who might consider similar betrayals. Ultimately, the Isdal Woman's life became emblematic of the ruthless, unseen wars fought beneath the public gaze. Her story warned starkly of human lives deemed expendable in the quest for power, information, and secrecy. And as Hansen closed the case file again, decades after opening it, he did so reluctantly, haunted by one irrevocable truth. The threads of espionage had ensured her eternal anonymity. She had been erased from history, a victim lost in the relentless shadows of the Cold War. Yet, even in anonymity, she achieved one lasting victory. Hansen knew he, and countless others, would never forget her. Her silent voice echoed through history, demanding recognition for sacrifices made quietly, invisibly, beneath the world's watchful eyes. And though unanswered questions lingered, one undeniable truth remained clear to Detective Hansen. The Isdal Woman had paid the ultimate price for secrets that history refused to reveal. Chapter 5. The Web of Secrecy. Detective Hansen stood once more amid the quiet gloom of Isdalen Valley, decades after the discovery that had irrevocably altered his life. Even now, after years of relentless pursuit, the mystery surrounding the Isdal Woman felt as dense and impenetrable as the fog drifting silently between the valley's ancient trees. He felt trapped within an invisible web, a labyrinth of secrets woven tightly by unseen hands, hands that would never reveal their true nature. By now, Hansen had begun to accept that the woman's death wasn't simply a personal tragedy, nor was it merely a puzzle demanding solution. It was evidence of a far broader, deeper, and darker world, a world bound by secrecy. Espionage, betrayal, subterfuge. Beneath the surface lay a hidden society whose rules he barely understood, a world where lives vanished without explanation, stories erased deliberately from public view. He retraced his steps methodically, carefully reconstructing the final days of the Isdal Woman, desperate to glimpse beneath the veil of secrecy that surrounded her. The cryptic notebook entries, hotel aliases, forged passports, each piece formed part of a larger tapestry, yet the image remained elusive. A new lead came suddenly when an elderly woman named Astrid Nielsen approached authorities with startling revelations. Astrid, now 86, had been employed by Bergen's railway station in 1970, where the suitcase containing the Isdal Woman's cryptic belongings had first appeared. "I remember vividly," Astrid explained, her voice thin but steady. She was not alone. She was always watched. At first I thought they were companions, but soon it became clear they were handlers or pursuers. Men who stayed carefully hidden in the shadows, men she feared deeply. Hansen's heart raced at Astrid's revelation. Could the woman have been closely monitored, trapped within a network of control from which escape proved impossible? He requested detailed descriptions, but Astrid's memory had faded over the decades, leaving behind only vague impressions. Men in dark suits, never speaking directly, always watching. A sense of urgency propelled Hansen to revisit the original hotel staff. At the Rosenkrantz Hotel, Ingrid Christiansen confirmed similar memories. "I noticed men observing her, especially in the lobby and restaurant. They never spoke to her, but their presence clearly unnerved her. She frequently changed seats, avoiding their line of sight." This insight illuminated a sinister dimension. The Isdal woman wasn't merely hiding, she was actively pursued, constantly watched, living under relentless scrutiny. This realization deepened Hansen's resolve. He became convinced that if he unraveled the identity of these shadowy observers, he could finally pierce the web of secrecy enveloping the woman's life and death. Hansen reached out to former intelligence contacts across Europe, sharing descriptions of the men and their tactics. Several former operatives recognized the behavior instantly. "Classic surveillance methods," explained Erik Johansson, a retired Swedish intelligence officer. "We used similar approaches, close but never openly confrontational, designed to unnerve and control. Whoever watched her was professional, highly trained, possibly state-sponsored." Johansson's words sent chills through Hansen. State-sponsored surveillance indicated high stakes: national security, espionage, secrets too sensitive for public exposure. Had the Isdal woman become entangled in an operation so dangerous it warranted permanent silence? Further investigation led Hansen to the European Intelligence Archives in Berlin, where he unearthed declassified files detailing Cold War espionage rings. Hidden within documents was mention of a mysterious network codenamed Operation Athena, a clandestine project involving female operatives working covertly across Europe, ferrying sensitive intelligence. One particular file referenced a compromised agent in Scandinavia, whose fate remained deliberately obscured. Hansen's pulse quickened with hope. Could the Isdal woman have been part of Operation Athena? Had she become compromised, thus sealed her fate? The possibility offered disturbing clarity. Her pursuers weren't merely dangerous. They represented powerful institutions capable of erasing lives without trace or consequence. The deeper Hansen delved, the more he realized the case was entangled with international politics, secret treaties, and hidden espionage missions whose existence was vehemently denied publicly. He pieced together scattered reports, discovering a pattern of operatives similarly compromised, silenced permanently. The web expanded, reaching across continents, hidden beneath layers of official denials and buried documents. Yet each discovery brought fresh frustration. Evidence was deliberately obscured, files incomplete, records mysteriously destroyed in fires or lost during bureaucratic transfers. Hansen encountered walls of official silence at every turn, reinforcing his suspicion that powerful forces conspired actively against discovery. Back home, Hansen scrutinized the cryptic notebook again, seeking answers within coded entries that had haunted him for decades. One entry stood out starkly. Final extraction denied. Proceed to safe location. Await further orders. Trust no one. These chilling words suggested betrayal at the highest level. Had the Isdal woman realized too late she'd been abandoned? Her handlers disavowing responsibility, leaving her trapped within the lethal consequences of her dangerous assignment? Despair crept into Hansen's mind, yet he refused surrender. He meticulously mapped connections across Europe, drawing lines, linking hotels, aliases, known intelligence operations. Gradually, a chilling narrative emerged. A woman ensnared by her own loyalty, betrayed by handlers, chased by relentless pursuers, determined to silence her forever. Late one night, alone. In his office, Hansen received an anonymous call. A distorted voice whispered urgently, "Detective, you're closer than you think. Beware. Some secrets kill. Let the woman's memory rest." The line went dead abruptly, leaving Hansen staring at the receiver, heart pounding with fear and determination. This warning proved he'd touched something raw, dangerous, something still guarded fiercely after decades. He knew now he must continue, even if it meant risking his safety. He owed it to the Isdal woman to confront the truth, no matter the cost. Returning to Isdalen Valley once more, Hansen wandered its trails, imagining the woman's final moments. Had she come willingly, resigned to an inevitable fate? Or had she been driven here, cornered, executed coldly to protect hidden secrets? In the valley's silence, Hansen felt her presence, a lingering spirit demanding justice, whispering truths he couldn't yet decipher. Her secrets had become his own. Her unresolved fate entwined irrevocably with his sense of justice. Months turned into years, yet Hansen persisted, always searching, always questioning, always seeking to break the oppressive web of secrecy. The truth remained elusive, protected by powerful institutions and obscured by layers of deception. Eventually, aged and weary, Hansen accepted a harsh truth. Some mysteries were intentionally constructed, never to be solved. The web of secrecy surrounding the Isdal woman had been meticulously woven by masterful hands, hands he couldn't hope to overcome. Yet, even in surrender, Hansen recognized a final victory. The woman had not been forgotten. Her story, though obscured, still resonated loudly, challenging those who heard it to question power, secrecy, and the price paid by individuals lost beneath history's ruthless currents. And as Hansen closed his files for the final time, he whispered softly to the valley's shadows, a promise he intended to keep. "Your story will survive. They failed to erase you completely." The Isdal woman's secrets, though buried deep within a vast web of secrecy, would echo forever, unanswered, haunting, unforgettable. Chapter 6. Shadows of the Past. Decades had passed since the body of the Isdal woman was discovered, yet her story remained stubbornly unresolved, echoing quietly through history like whispers trapped in the wind. Detective Hansen, now retired and aged, never found peace from the unanswered questions that haunted him. The Isdal woman's memory lingered, persistent and unyielding, a silent specter reminding him daily of the case that never relinquished its grip. With advancements in forensic technology emerging throughout the early 2000s, Hansen watched closely, hopeful that new methods might finally crack the mystery wide open. In 2016, a team of Norwegian forensic scientists reopened the case, driven by the lingering intrigue surrounding her unexplained death. Hansen, although officially retired, eagerly cooperated, hopeful yet guarded. Experts carefully exhumed remains, preserved from the original investigation, utilizing advanced techniques unavailable in 1970. Hansen observed quietly from the sidelines, heart pounding as scientists meticulously conducted isotope analysis on the woman's teeth, seeking clues about her geographical origins. The initial findings were compelling. Chemical signatures suggested her childhood had likely been spent in Central Europe, possibly southern Germany, northern France, or Belgium. This discovery resonated deeply with Hansen, who vividly recalled hotel staff describing her fluent German and French. Perhaps after decades of obscurity, technology would finally offer clarity. Yet the initial excitement soon dimmed. Even with isotope clues narrowing the search, authorities found no clear match among missing persons reported in those regions. Hansen felt the familiar frustration rising again. Despite remarkable scientific progress, the Isdal Woman stubbornly resisted identification, remaining an enigma even in death. Determined not to surrender, Hansen reached out again to retired intelligence officers, historians, and former Cold War operatives, now elderly but still alert. His persistence uncovered fresh testimony from a former German Stasi officer, Dieter Braun, who revealed troubling details. "We had operatives everywhere," Braun explained somberly. "Norway was crucial. Sometimes agents who knew too much were quietly eliminated, erased entirely." Braun's words chilled Hansen deeply. If the woman had indeed been an operative, or, worse, a double agent, her fate could have been sealed by ruthless necessity. The possibility haunted Hansen, transforming the mysterious figure into a tragic victim ensnared by powerful political machinery. To further complicate matters, Hansen discovered previously buried documents in newly declassified East German archives. They referenced covert missions involving female operatives active throughout Scandinavia in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Missions abruptly ended due to compromise. The details aligned unsettlingly with the Isdal Woman's timeline, suggesting a grim scenario. An agent whose mission failed, abandoned by handlers, left exposed and vulnerable. Additional research in British intelligence archives revealed similar patterns. Covert female operatives, meticulously trained in espionage, surveillance, and disguise, regularly dispatched throughout Europe. Several documented cases matched closely with the Isdal Woman's profile: multilingual, sophisticated, traveling discreetly, adopting multiple aliases, living in perpetual fear. Hansen grappled with the distressing realization: was the Isdal Woman's tragedy simply one among countless others lost silently during Cold War struggles? Had she become collateral damage in a shadow war fought far beyond public knowledge? Yet even as Hansen uncovered layers of historical context, concrete identification eluded him persistently. He traveled across Europe again, revisiting locations she'd frequented, hoping memories or overlooked clues might finally surface. In Stavanger, an elderly hotel clerk named Eva Holm shared a memory long buried. "She came here repeatedly," Eva recalled softly, each visit shorter, more hurried. During her final stay, she received a telegram. Her reaction was fear, pure fear. She left immediately, without luggage, without explanation. Hansen's pulse quickened. Telegrams, rarely traced or preserved, offered tantalizing yet frustratingly elusive leads. Who had sent it? What dire message triggered such immediate panic? In Bergen, another former hotel employee, Lars Henriksen, described witnessing strange meetings between the Isdal Woman and unidentified men in secluded corners of the hotel's lounge. Their conversations, Lars recalled nervously, were hushed, tense. She always appeared frightened, desperate. These fragmentary recollections painted a picture Hansen found increasingly clear. She was deeply embedded within clandestine operations, dangerously close to powerful, ruthless individuals whose interests she threatened or served. Hansen's search led him eventually to Paris, where another former hotel receptionist, Jean-Luc Bernard, recounted a chilling encounter. "A few days after she checked out," Jean-Luc remembered gravely, "two men approached me, demanding to know everything about her. Their accents were Eastern European. They warned me never to speak of her again." These persistent shadows from the past solidified Hansen's belief. The Isdal Woman had been hunted relentlessly, pursued across Europe by powerful forces determined to silence her. Returning home exhausted, Hansen faced the inevitable conclusion. Even advanced forensic science and diligent research couldn't fully penetrate the shadows of her past. She had lived beneath layers of secrecy too expertly maintained, forever concealing her true identity, purpose, and allegiance. Still, Hansen refused to surrender entirely. He traveled once more to Isdalen Valley, standing silently at the exact location her remains had been discovered decades before. In the silence, he felt a profound sorrow, mourning a woman he'd never truly known yet, whose story became intimately entwined with his own. Gazing into the mist-covered valley, Hansen spoke softly, words carried gently by the breeze. "Whoever you were, you deserved better than to be forgotten. Your life matters, your story endures. I will remember." Hansen returned home, at peace with his inability to solve the mystery conclusively, yet comforted by the certainty that her story, though incomplete, resonated deeply. He dedicated his final years to preserving her memory, lecturing, writing articles, ensuring her story continued to inspire questions and curiosity. In quiet conversations, he reminded others that beneath every unsolved case lay human lives deserving dignity, compassion, recognition. The Isdal Woman represented countless forgotten individuals caught within history's ruthless currents, lives quietly erased, sacrificed for secrets. And though the shadows of the past stubbornly guarded her identity, Detective Hansen realized one profound truth. In her anonymity, the Isdal Woman achieved immortality. Her story, forever compelling, refused obscurity. In his final days, Hansen understood clearly that some mysteries were never meant for resolution. They existed instead to remind us of humanity's hidden struggles, our capacity for secrecy, betrayal, courage, and ultimately, endurance. He closed his files gently, accepting finally that the Isdal Woman's identity would remain forever obscured. Yet in that obscurity, her story shone brilliantly, a beacon illuminating history's darkest corners, inviting reflection, curiosity, empathy. And as Detective Hansen quietly passed away, surrounded by family, his final thoughts lingered warmly upon the woman he'd never truly known yet deeply respected, an enduring enigma whose shadows had defined his life. Somewhere, he imagined, perhaps she watched silently, thankful that at least one person refused to forget her. Chapter 7. Echoes of Uncertainty. Even as decades slipped by, the story of the Isdal Woman remained entrenched in Norway's cultural memory, a haunting echo reverberating through history. Despite Detective Hansen's painstaking efforts, the fundamental questions surrounding her identity, purpose, and tragic end lingered unanswered. Rather than fading into obscurity, the mystery became deeply woven into the collective imagination, a testament to humanity's fascination with unanswered enigmas. The unresolved case inspired endless speculation in newspapers, documentaries, books, and online forums. Conspiracy theories blossomed, each more elaborate and intriguing than the last. Was she a Cold War spy betrayed by her handlers? A rogue operative hunted by multiple intelligence agencies? Or perhaps a tragic victim fleeing from unknown dangers, erased deliberately by powerful interests? Despite the lack of definitive answers, or perhaps because of it, interest in the Isdal Woman flourished over the years. Journalists revisited her story periodically, each fresh retelling accompanied by tantalizing glimpses of newly uncovered details, minor revelations reigniting speculation and debate. Yet, beneath the public's enduring fascination lay a deeper truth. The Isdal Woman story resonated not merely because of espionage or intrigue, but because it spoke powerfully to universal human fears: anonymity, betrayal, isolation, and the unsettling knowledge that some truths remain forever hidden. In the early 2000s, Bergen University students undertook extensive research projects, attempting to decode her cryptic notebook. Linguistics professors collaborated, poring over faded pages, hoping advanced computing techniques might break the cipher. Each attempt, however, yielded only partial fragments, phrases that heightened intrigue without providing clarity. "They have betrayed me. Must escape quickly. Too dangerous. Trust no one." These newly decoded fragments, although incomplete, reinforced suspicions of espionage, betrayal, and desperate flight. Yet, frustratingly, they failed to illuminate definitive answers, adding, instead, fresh layers of tantalizing ambiguity. A popular documentary aired in Norway rekindled intense public fascination, leading younger generations to engage deeply with her mystery. Internet forums filled rapidly with spirited debates, theories, and passionate pleas for renewed investigations. Amateur sleuths meticulously revisited archival records, hotel logs, train manifests, and witness testimonies, determined to uncover overlooked clues. In these efforts, the Isdal Woman transformed from an unsolved cold case into a cultural icon, a poignant symbol of unresolved mysteries, enduring human curiosity, and the relentless pursuit of truth. Her story inspired fictionalized adaptations in literature and cinema, each interpretation presenting variations of her enigmatic persona: spy, fugitive, martyr, heroine, victim. Yet through every adaptation, her core essence remained intact. A woman whose true identity defied discovery, whose secrets eluded generations of investigators, storytellers, and audiences alike. Her anonymity became her greatest legacy, an enduring symbol of mysteries destined to remain unresolved. Back in Bergen, Detective Hansen's dedication became legendary among younger investigators. After his passing, his meticulous records, painstakingly gathered over decades, were preserved carefully at Bergen's police archives, a testament to his lifelong devotion to justice and truth. New generations studied Hansen's meticulous files, inspired by his tenacity and haunted by his ultimate inability to fully solve the case. Investigators in the early 2020s made a final attempt at closure, using cutting-edge genetic genealogy techniques, hoping DNA analysis would provide missing links. Yet even modern technology met insurmountable challenges. Genetic records from Central Europe yielded possible relatives, distant and uncertain, each lead dissolving frustratingly under scrutiny. With each new technological breakthrough, hope briefly surged, only to fade once more into disappointment. The Isdal Woman remained perpetually beyond reach, defiantly resistant to definitive identification. Her life's puzzle remained incomplete, offering only hints and suggestions, never a coherent portrait. Yet, despite repeated setbacks, interest never waned. Each unresolved clue became fuel for continued fascination, debate, and speculation. Online communities dedicated to solving her mystery thrived, members passionately debating theories, exchanging insights, driven by the intoxicating challenge of uncovering what history stubbornly concealed. In 2025, Bergen city officials erected a small memorial in Isdalen Valley, a quiet acknowledgement of the woman whose tragic end brought global attention to their peaceful region. The memorial, simple and dignified, bore a poignant inscription: "To the Isdal Woman," whose name we may never know, but whose story reminds us to seek truth relentlessly, even in the face of uncertainty. The dedication ceremony attracted crowds, journalists, historians, amateur sleuths, ordinary citizens, all drawn together by shared fascination and quiet respect. As they stood silently beneath towering pines, listening to solemn speeches honoring her memory, the valley itself seemed to hold its breath, a quiet tribute to a life forever lost to secrecy. For those gathered, the memorial symbolized not only respect, but recognition that some mysteries defy resolution. Perhaps the greatest tribute they could offer was acceptance, acknowledgement of uncertainty as an essential part of the human experience. a reminder that some questions are destined to remain unanswered despite our strongest efforts. Yet for many, especially Detective Hansen's successors, surrender remained impossible. Driven by his legacy, younger detectives vowed to continue his quest, never fully conceding defeat. They believed passionately that somewhere, hidden among forgotten records, abandoned archives, or fading memories, a crucial clue awaited discovery, patient and enduring. In quiet evenings, beneath Norway's vast northern skies, discussions about the Isdal Woman often drifted toward philosophical reflection. Why did her mystery captivate so deeply? Perhaps because uncertainty mirrored the complexities of life itself, an intricate tapestry woven with unanswered questions, hidden motives, and incomplete narratives. She reminded them that behind every cold case lay human lives worthy of compassion and dignity, lives that refused reduction to mere puzzles or riddles. The Isdal Woman, though unknown, represented countless forgotten individuals whose stories demanded remembrance, whose secrets insisted upon careful contemplation. And so, as decades rolled forward, her echoes continued, gentle yet insistent reminders that history always retained its secrets, withholding clarity yet offering profound lessons. Her unresolved story became not just an investigation, but an enduring meditation on truth, identity, memory, and the fragile boundaries separating knowledge from mystery. Future generations, Hansen's successors among them, vowed to keep her memory alive. Though they might never learn her name or fully understand her story, they resolved to honor her existence through continued inquiry, curiosity, and empathy. The Isdal Woman's echoes persisted, resiliently transcending decades, a powerful testament to humanity's eternal fascination with uncertainty, a quiet voice whispering through history. Never forgotten, forever mysterious, eternally unresolved. Chapter 8. The Valley's Secret. Isdalen Valley had always been a place of whispers, shadows, and unanswered questions. Its beauty masked a lingering darkness, an atmosphere heavy with secrets it refused to relinquish. Nowhere was this more evident than in the story of the Isdal Woman, whose unknown identity and tragic fate had transformed the valley into a permanent landmark of mystery. Years had become decades, yet the valley remained silent, guarding its truth. Detective Hansen's relentless pursuit of answers had ended without full resolution, but his dedication had inspired generations of truth-seekers who continued his quest, hoping to uncover the secret hidden within Isdalen's depths. In 2028, nearly 60 years after the discovery of her body, Norwegian investigators made one final attempt at closure. Supported by advancements in DNA analysis and forensic genealogy, authorities partnered internationally, determined to crack open the mystery definitively. Genetic experts painstakingly analyzed every available fragment of DNA, cross-referencing samples across global databases, searching meticulously for a familial connection. Hope surged briefly when genealogists traced distant relatives in Central Europe, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Yet each potential lead dissolved into ambiguity, offering no concrete match or definitive identity. Despite extraordinary scientific precision, the Isdal Woman remained just beyond their reach, an enigmatic silhouette slipping persistently through their grasp. Ultimately, even the most advanced forensic science faced its limits. Investigators reluctantly conceded what Detective Hansen had privately accepted years earlier. The Isdal Woman had succeeded entirely in erasing herself from history. Her identity, carefully protected in life, remained forever concealed in death. Though authorities officially declared the case permanently unresolved, public fascination only intensified. The story had transcended its origins, becoming something larger, a testament to humanity's enduring quest for truth, our desperate need for closure even in the face of impossible odds. In Bergen, younger generations grew up hearing her story, passing it along to their children, perpetuating a cultural legacy of curiosity and compassion. Books, films, and documentaries kept her memory vividly alive, ensuring she would never fade into oblivion. For the people of Norway and beyond, the Isdal Woman became a powerful symbol of anonymity, secrecy, sacrifice, and the human cost, hidden within espionage and political intrigue. On the 60th anniversary of her discovery, a ceremony was held in Isdalen Valley, drawing visitors from around the world. Beneath a grey sky, crowds gathered respectfully around her memorial. Speakers recalled Detective Hansen's unwavering devotion, honored the woman whose life remained veiled in mystery, and reflected solemnly on the universal desire to find meaning, even in uncertainty. Among the crowd stood Hansen's granddaughter, Emma. Though never having met her grandfather, she had grown up steeped in his legacy, reading his detailed notes, letters, and journals. Now, as a detective herself, Emma felt deeply connected to the woman who had so profoundly influenced her grandfather's life. After the ceremony, Emma lingered alone in the valley, absorbing its silent beauty. Wind rustled softly through pines, whispering gently, as if sharing secrets just beyond hearing. Emma closed her eyes, breathing deeply, feeling the presence of those who had walked this path before her. Her grandfather, the Isdal Woman, countless visitors drawn to this place of enduring mystery. Emma silently vowed to carry forward the search, not necessarily to solve the unsolvable, but to honor the pursuit itself, to remind future generations that some mysteries existed precisely to provoke reflection, compassion, and humility. Over the following years, Emma dedicated herself passionately to cold case investigations, ensuring forgotten stories were rediscovered, unknown lives respected, and silent voices heard. The Isdal Woman became her guiding star, a symbol reminding her daily of the hidden human stories behind every mystery. Yet, despite the years, Emma often returned privately to Isdalen Valley, seeking solace and inspiration among its shadows. Each visit deepened her understanding that the valley's silence was itself meaningful, a quiet recognition that some truths were meant to remain unknown, reminding us to approach life with reverence for its inherent mysteries. In her final, professional report on the case, Emma wrote words her grandfather might have approved. Perhaps the Isdal Woman's identity remains undiscovered, not because we have failed, but because anonymity was her final wish, her ultimate act of courage and survival. Perhaps the secret of Isdalen Valley is precisely that it has no secret beyond our eternal quest to understand the unknown. Her reflections resonated widely, embraced warmly by the public and authorities alike. Emma understood finally why her grandfather had found peace without resolution. The story of the Isdal Woman was not merely about identity or espionage, it was about the profound mysteries that define our human experience. Years later, Emma stood once more beside the simple memorial stone in Isdalen Valley, now etched lightly by time, moss gently clinging to its edges. She placed her hand upon it tenderly, closing her eyes as soft breezes whispered gently around her. "I still don't know your name," she murmured softly, "but your story matters. Your life has not been forgotten. You remain alive in our curiosity, compassion, and endless pursuit of truth." As Emma turned to leave, the valley seemed to sigh quietly in response, releasing the gentle breath it had held for decades. Perhaps it had finally offered its truest secret. Not answers, but understanding that uncertainty itself was a profound gift, a reminder of our limitations, vulnerability, and capacity for wonder. Today, Isdalen Valley remains peaceful, beautiful, forever marked by its haunting past. Visitors walk its trails thoughtfully, aware they tread ground heavy with history, respect, and unanswered questions. And beneath the valley's quiet surface, hidden within its shadows, lies the enduring legacy of a woman whose story defied resolution, whose life transcended anonymity, whose secrets became our own. In her silence we find our voice. In her anonymity, we rediscover our humanity. In her unresolved story, we learn to embrace life's mysteries, secrets whispered eternally by the valley that remembers her still. If you've been captivated by the real mystery of the Isdal Woman, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it widely. Join us as we continue to uncover history's greatest mysteries together. Leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Your voice matters, and together we keep stories alive. Thank you for joining this journey. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep exploring the unknown.